Howdy folks, welcome back to Boondockery. Last month, May 17th through the 19th to be precise, I taught a couple classes at the Old School Survival Boot Camp, one of which was hasty shelters for your bug out or get home bag. Now this is going to be the first of at least 2 videos I'm going to do on that particular subject. I'm going to be focusing on that subject in particular for the warmer months. This particular video is really going to be focusing on shelter that we wear. Now when we think about shelter when it comes to survival, that is incredibly important. Matter of fact, it ranks number 2 in the rule of 3s of survival. First of which, you can survive up to 3 minutes without oxygen. Number 2, you can survive up to 3 hours without shelter. And even though it's the warmer months, that doesn't mean that you don't have to consider shelter. Because this is June. Today, it's probably, where I am right now, it's probably low 70s. And the overnight low tonight is probably going to be low 50s, upper 40s. Now, that might not be that big a deal to some people. However, let's just say for the sake of saying so, that the overnight temperature is going to be 40. And right now, it's midday, it starts raining. And it doesn't stop raining. So now I'm in a situation where I'm completely soaking wet. We're going into darkness. The temperature's dropping. My body is going to rapidly lose energy. It's burning up all the calories that's in it right now in order to keep that core temperature warm. Now, eventually those calories are going to all burn up. And I'm going to start shivering. I'm going to really start feeling uncomfortable. I might even feel sick to my stomach because I'm very, very weak. And at that point, temperatures in the 40s can kill me in that situation. So shelter is very important even in the warmer months. Now, it's not just hypothermia. It could be exposure in other ways too, such as heat stroke, extreme sunlight, sunburn. All of these things are things that can really mess us up in a very short period of time, all in these warmer months. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how things that we can wear can help protect us and provide shelter for us during these warmer months. Let's talk about our base clothing. Wherever it is that you keep your bug out bag or your get home bag, whether it's your vehicle, whether your place of business, wherever it is, have a change of clothes with you. Especially if you work in an office environment, your dress clothes might not be the best thing to wear when you're trying to get home or bug out. So you want to take into consideration the type of clothing that you're wearing. I have a pair of long pants. I have a pair of boots. My pants are made of like a stretch fabric, a spandex type of material. I wear them year-round. They're comfortable year-round. And I can maneuver well with them. I can climb over things. They don't, bind, and they won't tear in the crotch if I have to, negotiate obstacles. Moisture wicking clothing is going to work very well. Shirts. You don't have to go with just a synthetic type of a shirt for moisture wicking fabric. They make summer weight merino wool. The beautiful thing about that is it will wick the moisture away from your body and allow it to evaporate. Cotton will not do that. And it also will provide a warming layer for you if the temperatures start to drop. Wool is one of those magical, wonderful things that was created by God that works year round. It can be wet. Let's say the humidity is very, very high, and I've perspired quite a bit, and the moisture is not wicking and evaporating because of the high humidity. That merino wool is going to help insulate me, whereas just a regular synthetic, it's going to hold that moisture against your body. And your body's going to have to work harder to try to warm that surface area up. So moisture wicking is the key. I would also highly recommend a lightweight, designed to be worn in heat, long sleeve shirt. This one is like a fishing shirt, and it is designed to wear on the open water while you're fishing in the heat of summer, and it works very, very well. It is moisture wicking, and I wear this year round as well, and it's very, very comfortable. There's like a little section in the back that allows heat and moisture to come out. It's vented, and you can also roll the sleeves up if you want to. Now, sleeves are going to do a couple good things for you. One of which, it will help protect your skin from the ultraviolet radiation of the sun, and it can also help protect you from insects. Insects is something that you need to protect yourself against, just like you do cold, rain, heat, sun, or anything else, because insects can make your life horrible in a situation that is already uncomfortable. So I've got my base clothing, and I'm also going to have a hat. That's going to help protect my eyes from the sun. It's also going to do a few other things I'll talk about here in a few. So some type of headgear, like a boonie style hat, works great. A regular cap, a long sleeve shirt that's moisture wicking. I'd recommend a base short sleeve shirt that's moisture wicking. Merino wool would be fantastic. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but that would be a fantastic choice. And also long pants that you can maneuver in very, very effortlessly. I also am wearing a pair of boots. The boots could be like a mid-cut or a high cut. It doesn't really matter. I would not recommend using a low-cut shoe. I don't care if it's a hiking shoe or not. I would recommend having something at least to your ankle for your base clothing. Socks are also important, as is your undergarments. All those things need to be able to wick moisture away from your body, but if need be able to insulate you to some degree when the temperatures are cooler. Like I said, we need to consider shelter from the sun as well as we do any of the other things that we need shelter from. And sunscreen is something you can use. However, you constantly have to reapply it. And if you're in a stressful environment, you're not going to remember to do that. You're going to be perspiring, whether it's through exertion or it's through just the heat of the day. It's going to remove a lot of that. So the long sleeves are going to come in handy, and you can even wear a pair of lightweight gloves, like these mechanics gloves. They're great. These are the lightest weight versions that they make. They breathe really well. I like using these when I do yard work in the summer, because you have protection in the palms, and the surface here wicks the moisture very well. I literally I hang them up on my backyard fence just like this, and literally within 15 to 20 minutes, the back portions are dry. Takes a little bit longer for the leather portion, but it still works really well. One of the big considerations that we need to make is with protection from the rain. And the combination of slightly low temperatures and rain is very, very serious. And it can be life-threatening, as you know, I mentioned a little bit earlier. The one big thing that most people think about when they think about good wet weather gear is they think of Goretex. Oh, Goretex is a wonderful fabric because it is water resistant. It is not waterproof, and it does breathe. There are some serious drawbacks to different types and different weights of Goretex. This is a standard GI issue Goretex jacket. This is heavy. It's sort of loud, and even though it has zippers in the armpits, and you can open it up to some degree in the front, it's hot. This is hot. If you want to protect yourself from moisture, this would not be a great choice in the warmer months, just simply because your perspiration is really going to get vapor locked in here, and it's not going to breathe like the advertising says. This is actually going to be more of a furnace than it is a protection from moisture, trapping all that moisture in. So they have another Goretex alternative, which is called a soft shell. All different kinds of soft shells out there, and all of which have the same drawbacks. This is water resistant. Again, no Goretex is waterproof. This is water resistant for a mist or a light rain. What happens is when you're wearing this, and this one, I love this, I wear it a lot, is through a mist or a light rain, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Water beads up off of it, you know, no problem. And it does breathe much better than the heavier Goretex. However, if I'm in a torrential downpour or a heavy rain, what happens is every single one of those droplets of rain are falling pretty dang far distance. And by the time that it gets to you and splashes on your clothing, it's traveling at a pretty decent velocity. You will feel it. You will feel an individual drop hit. Now, it's traveling at a great enough velocity and a large enough droplet of rain to where it hits. After the surface gets wet, it's going to force water through the membrane of this Goretex. It's going to soak through very, very quickly. So therefore, what's the point in wearing it at all? Well, one thing about this is that it will keep you dry if it's not that torrential downpour. But how do you deal with it when it is? Well, a trick that was taught to me by an individual in special forces let me know that if you wear just a simple shirt, this is a, I guess would be a combat shirt or whatever. It doesn't have to be super heavy. Just a simple shirt over top of your soft shell. This surface shirt is going to provide enough protection from that impact to where it's going to absorb the shock of that driving rain and prevent it from soaking through the soft shell layer. Here's a caveat. If that happens, you can't be super active. You can't be maneuvering around to where you're perspiring, or it's going to soak through again from the inside out. So you got to hunker down. If you don't want your hood to soak through and continue to drain down the back of your neck, you can wear your hat on the outside of the hood. It'll do the same thing. Just, you know, button it up, zip it up, and just hunker down until that driving rain stops. Most of the time it rains, and it rains hard. It's usually for about the first 15 minutes or so. So if you can find, you know, some type of shelter, like right now, I'm pretty good because I have the foliage of the canopy of the forest that's helping buffer that driving rain significantly. So what I'm getting is the droplets that are coming off of the leaves, and they aren't the velocity that I really have to worry about. I probably might not even have to wear this, but what you're going to do, put this on, hunker down for a little bit till that driving rain stops. Then if you need to continue on and it's a light rain again, take this off, strap it to the outside of your pack, and go about what you're doing at a moderate pace. You don't want to exert yourself to the point to where you're soaking yourself through from the inside out. Again, depending on the distance that you are from where it is you are headed, you have to pace yourself to get there. But you have to keep in mind that this protective clothing, this shelter that you're wearing, is only going to do so if you're smart about how to use it. Now there's another wet weather option for your wearable shelter that I actually prefer, and that is the Venerable Poncho. These have been around for forever. They are rubberized, so therefore that means no water, no matter how hard the rain is driving, is going to permeate through the fabric. Now, every coin has two sides. The bad thing about something that is rubberized, it does not breathe at all. Ponchos are very user-friendly when it comes to breathability, in that once you put it on, you can regulate the degree and the amount of ventilation that you have. Just a little bit of work, and I now have covered my backpack and myself. This is wide open. If I stand here like this in a driving rain, I'm going to stay fairly cool. I'm not going to sweat. If I do, it's not going to be much. And the rain is going to run completely off of my poncho and will not touch my backpack. If anything, I'm going to have to worry about is maybe some wet boots. And again, you have the same thing with Goretex. You can have a pair of Goretex boots, but they're already, as soon as you put them on, they're already starting to absorb moisture from the inside, from the perspiration of your feet. And once you have the other side, which is the outside of the boots, receiving moisture, yeah, it's going to soak through too. And so it's really a matter of choices. Are you going to get a pair of boots that dry quickly, Or are you going to get a pair of boots that's pretty much going to stay damp or wet the entire time you're wearing them? If you're going to go with a Goretex, that's what's going to happen. If you go with a pair of boots that are heavily padded, nylon on the outside, yeah, it's going to hold in a lot of moisture for a long time as well. The old style jungle boots, I mean, not comfortable. They're heavy, not comfortable, but they dry fairly quickly. And but those are the decisions you need to make. But the Poncho is really a great way to go. Super compact. You saw the little bag I had it in, and you know, it's super lightweight, and it's very versatile. Not only is this shelter that I can wear, but it's also shelter that I can create. I can do a lean-to, I can do an A-frame, I can do a plow point type shelters. If I have time and the opportunity and ability to set it up on the ground and do that, I can do that. I can also do any of those types of shelters in a high fashion and create basically a tarp to where I could stand underneath of it, or I could, you know, put it up over a log or something like that, and to be able to sit down for a while, protect myself from the rain, and when I'm ready to move on or the rain has stopped, I can just take it back apart, put it back in the bag, throw it back in my backpack, and be on my way. But a poncho is a fantastic option for protection from the rain. One more thing about the poncho. Let's say you have a driving rain and it's windy. You have snaps all up and down both sides of your poncho. It's not going to keep all the rain out, but it's going to keep a lot of the rain out. So as you are moving along or waiting patiently for the rain to stop, just quickly snap these in. And now you have some degree of protection from that driving rain, because the wind is going to be blowing it all over the place. And also the nice thing about the poncho is if you need to, you can have hands free, hands ready to do what you need to do. Even if you are carrying a long arm, you're still going to be able to manipulate that, and you're still going to be able to have protection from the rain even when the wind is blowing. And when you don't need it anymore, unsnap it. Also on the inside, you have a drawstring for around your waist that you can tie that around your waist, and that's going to help keep that in place in that wind as well. It's not going to be blowing all up like this. Just tie that cord around your waist, and if you're wearing a pack that prevents you from doing that, well, you just tie that around your belt loops, and it'll hold it in place just as easily. But what that does is it holds it tight to your body, and it's not going to be blowing all over the place. Even in the warmer months, you're going to have evenings to where it gets pretty chilly. Once you've been out the whole day, you've exerted yourself, your energy level's low, your calorie level's low, it's going to be much more difficult for you to stay warm even when it's just cool out. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be difficult for you to be able to get any rest if you have to hunker down. One of the things I would recommend with things like that are high loft down. Now this is actually a winter coat. I forget what it's rated for, but it's super lightweight, super compact, and if I were to get a couple Ranger bands or something on it, look at that. This is something that you would probably want to keep with you, and definitely have it in a waterproof bag inside your backpack, just simply because you don't want this to get wet. That's the one bad thing about down, is once it gets wet, it's pretty much pointless. There are types of treatments that they do with down now, and that make it still usable even if it's wet. I'm not a big fan of that, and there are some really great microfiber synthetic insulations that are out there that work well too. But like, if it's gotten dark, you have to hunker down and you're starting to feel that chill, something like this is like wearing a sleeping bag. Now, I've worn this a lot as a insulated liner for my smocks and things like that. This already, my body is warming up already. And as lightweight as this is, as small as it compacts, the amount of warmth that you get from this is, amazing, absolutely amazing. And it could be life-saving in the right situation. So even though, we're in the warmer months, something like this, again, could mean the difference between comfort, not comfortable, or life and death. So far we've talked about shelter from the sun, shelter from cold, shelter from rain. Now let's talk about shelter from insects. Now, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but when I was wearing just my short sleeve shirt, there are mosquitoes buzzing everywhere. I don't know if you can see them where they go past the camera lens or not, but I see them flying around my camera a lot. They didn't come on me. They did not land on me. Even though my arms were completely bare, they didn't come near me, because all of my clothing other than my undergarments, have been treated with permethrin. Now, permethrin, I buy a concentrate, and this is Martin's permethrin solution 10%. And the thing that's wonderful about this, I think I spent maybe 14, 15 bucks for this a couple years ago, and this is how much I've used. This one container, because it's a concentrate, you can mix up to 100 gallons of solution to treat your clothing, your backpacks, anything you want. You can very easily treat all of your camping gear with this stuff. If you like to tarp camp on the ground and you have a ground cloth, treat your ground cloth. Treat the edges of your tarp where it gets close to the ground. Shouldn't have any problem at all with insects coming through and crawling up over you during the course of the evening. You can definitely treat sleeping bags or woobies or anything else that you might be using for insulation while you're camping during the summer. This stuff's absolutely fantastic. They sell pre-mixed sprays, either in like an aerosol type can or a hand pump, and they sell that at sporting goods stores. They sell it at Walmart, and it's expensive. One of those cans will treat your backpack and some of your stuff and a set of clothing and your boots. And even though they recommend you only use it on equipment, I mean, they're trying to cover their hind ends. So as my disclaimer, don't ever, did I mention ever? Don't ever do anything I ever mention on any of my videos in any way, shape, or form. Don't do anything I've ever mentioned or talked about on any of my videos, past or future. There, I've covered my hind end. Now, the best thing about this concentrate is you have a tremendous amount of solution that you can make with, like I said, 100 gallons. Now, what I used to do is I used to make it basically a quart at a time. And this little device here, I'll bring it in close so you can see it. You loosen the lid and you squeeze, and when it gets to about right there at that lower line, that is the amount that you would use for a quart. You squeeze it until it gets to this top line, and I don't know if the line's on both sides or not, but you bring it up to the top line, and you know that makes a gallon. And you're thinking, it's like a gallon? It's like, well, that would be a rough thing to handle. No, not really. It works really, really well. This is it. It's a, I don't know, it's an everything type of pressurized sprayer. And I mixed this up as a gallon. I treated every single item of clothing that I normally wear in the summer the other day, saturated everything. I sprayed everything down once, let it soak in a little bit, and then I sprayed it completely again to where they were wet. I hung them out in the sunlight to dry. They dried fairly quickly, and they were completely treated at that point. As you can see, I've used about half the gallon, because this is the gallon mark right here. So I've used about half the gallon, and I can still treat anything else that I plan on using when I go out camping this summer. And if I get a new piece of kit and it says, oh, well, yeah, it's a new sleeping bag, I think I'm going to go ahead and treat it as well. I can do that. So protecting yourself from the insects is vital. Years ago, me and some of my buddies went out, and we were expecting a little bit of rain, but we weren't expecting it to pour for half an hour, stop for half an hour, pour for half an hour, stop for half an hour, and things like that through the entire day. We were dealing with the rain with no problem. However, the mosquito problem was horrible. I mean, they're just like, we were trying to put DEET on us. That's before I found out about permethrin. And we were putting DEET on, the rain would wash it all off, or our sweat would wash it off, and you know, they were just landing all over us. One point, I was hunkered down, I had my boonie hat on, and it was just pouring down rain. I noticed there was sort of like this fuzz. I mean, it was like blurry. Here, I was like looking at it, and I was like, yeah, what is that? I reach up to touch it, and it moves. There were about 50 mosquitoes underneath the brim of my cap. And it's just like they were hunkering down to stay out of the rain as well. I mean, it was weird. Anyway, because of the mosquito problem and because we were ill prepared to deal with that degree of a mosquito problem, we had to bail. It started getting dark. We went and packed up our tarps and called it a day. And valuable lesson learned. When you are using permethrin, all of the clothing that you have treated is going to protect you. However, when you're laying on the ground or you're leaning up against something, you're trying to get some rest, insects will crawl on you, or they will fly, and even though they may not be landing on you, they're going to be buzzing around, and it's going to prevent you from getting the rest or the sleep that you need. So one of the things that I always take with me now is a mosquito or a bug net head net. And for as cheap as these things are, they're literally, they're worth their weight in gold, and they weigh practically nothing. They come in all different colors. You can even get pretty colors if you want. And this one comes with a drawstring. I think I bought a 4-pack of these from Amazon, and they averaged out to be maybe a buck something a piece. I think it was like $4.88 for the 4 of them, and this is fantastic. This will protect anything that can land on your untreated skin without having to rely on toxic chemicals like DEET. And so between this, my permethrin treated clothing, I'm pretty much set to deal with any insect issues I may encounter. Since I've been using permethrin, I have not had a single tick on me. And I spent a lot of time in the woods. I have not had chiggers, which to me, I'd rather have 1,000 ticks on me than 3 or 4 chigger bites. It's horrible. I don't know. I know there's certain people that react more to a mosquito bite or any type of insect bite than other people. I don't react real bad to a mosquito bite, but oh, the chiggers. I mean, it's a torture. I mean, it had to have been spawned in the deepest, darkest, hottest, nastiest place in Hades. It's like, they're horrible. I hate them. I've not had any deer fly. I've not had any black fly. I haven't had any type of insects on my body at all since I've been using this stuff. And I know a lot of people are very concerned about having chemicals touch your body and things like that. But, you know, I don't think cattle farmers, with the amount of money that they have invested in every single one of those steers or dairy cows, would jeopardize their investment by using something that, first of all, did not work. Secondly, would be harmful to the product that they're going to be selling. Permethrin's been around for a long time, and it works. And if mammals such as cattle can have it applied directly to their fur and hair, and it protect them for a month at a time, I'm not too worried about using it on my clothing to protect me from insects as well. But again, don't ever, ever, in any way, shape, or form, ever do anything I mention, I talk about, I suggest, I demonstrate on any of my videos. That's my disclaimer. Now, all of the things that I showed you and I talked about in this video individually seem pretty insignificant. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's not like having the perfect, like, ridiculously expensive survival knife, or the ridiculously expensive backpack, or this very specific thing that you have to have. It's types of stuff. And all of these things I have learned through different sources, and I have tried them all, and they all work for me. And there are things that are very easy and very compact, very lightweight to add to your bug out bag or your get home bag. Now, as things continue to, I guess, self-destruct in our world all around us, we see new things every single day, and you don't have to go out of your way to look for them. We can see now that, yeah, you know what, there might actually really be a very realistic need for me to have a get home bag or a bug out bag. You know, the whole bug out thing is, it's such a huge concept to, first of all, realize, and then to go through all the time, all the planning, all the energy, all the money to organize your bug out location, to stock your bug out location with caches, to you know, organize all the different routes that you're possibly going to have to take, to coordinate with other people that will be bugging out too. I mean, it would be like a full-time job. But getting home, Getting home is something every single one of us do every single day. Every time we go to work, we know we're going to be coming back home. And if there's anything that is going to prevent us from doing that, we have to be able to do what we need to do to be able to get back where we're needed and where we need to be. So the bug out thing, that's big. Getting home, that's simple, that's little, and with much less planning, you can do everything that you need to do to make certain that you kit your get home bag out, know what kinds of things to put in it, to be able to map that out very easily, maybe even put a couple caches at certain points along the way, and be able to go from there. But hopefully this video will, enlighten you a little bit and possibly give you some ideas as far as shelter goes for these emergency kits. And knowing that what you wear can be the shelter that saves your life might be eye-opening. Well, folks, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.